Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this series of videos, we are working on upgraded version of the AZ500X labs from the Microsoft Learning to available on the GitHub. And we have already done 6 previous videos to cover the new series of labs. In this one, we're going to focus on implementing a directory synchronization. I can't recall if we had this in the previous version of the 500 lab or not. Looks new to me. Just like any other labs, uh, we have a scenario, and in this one, you have been asked to create the proof of concept demonstration demonstrating how to integrate on-prem Active Directory domain service with Azure Active Directory. So this is very common for most enterprise, most businesses where you already have a domain service, Active Directory domain service that you are using currently in your on-prem environment. Now you're moving to the cloud and you want to utilize the Active Directory that comes from the Azure, and you want to integrate and extend your Active Directory domain services to the cloud. So things that we're going to do in this lab is implement a single domain Active Directory forest by deploying an Azure virtual machine. So this is going to be this is going to represent our local environment, right? So here, although we are creating the virtual machine in the Azure, we're going to install the Active Directory domain services forest. So this will be just like having a VM in our on-prem. And then we're also going to create and configure the AZ Active Directory tenant, and then we're going to synchronize the forest with the tenant. And everything that we're going to do, we're going to deploy it to the East US region. So again, the same lab objectives. So for the first task, deploy an Azure VM hosting and Active Directory domain controller. So this should be pretty straightforward. And what we'll do, we'll go to the portal, and we are going to go and open the Cloud Shell environment. Okay, and from here we're going to run a command to check for the domain availability. Okay, so let's open up a new page and let's add okay, so domain availability, and for location is US. So let's get our command ready, and once the command runs true, okay, we're going to record the value of that domain name, and we're going to move to the next phase. So let's get started. Let's go to our Azure environment, and you can click this button for the Cloud Shell. It's going to give you this shell window at the bottom, this Powershell environment. We're going to get in, and as I said, you're going to run the first command. Actually, we gotta get the command that we already formatted. So let's get this one and paste, and let's see if that domain name is available. So it says true. That means this domain name is available to me. Alright, so that was the first part of the lab. So next, we're going to use an ARM template to deploy Azure VM hosting an Active Directory domain controller. Okay, open another browser tab, the same browser window, and navigate to Quick Start template. So Quick Start template is another really great feature from Microsoft. There's hundreds of Quick Start templates that are available on the GitHub that you can very quickly use, and most of them, they have these three things: deploy to Azure, visualize, and sometimes you also have the deploy to Azure Gov. If you click on visualize, what it's gonna do is gonna give you what it is going to deploy. Like it's gonna have a VM, a network interface card, a load balancer, a virtual network, an availability set, public IP, VNet, DNS, and Active Directory forest. All of that is going to be deployed. So let's go back. Sometimes it just does not go, so close this. So go back, reopen it one more time, and this time you're just gonna click on deploy to Azure. So it will take you to your own Azure environment if you're logged in, and it will give you anything additional that you need to fill out. And okay, it's saying fill out switch directories because I do not have any subscriptions. So let's go to our default directory, and in this directory we're going to deploy that particular ARM template. Okay, it says create an Azure VM with the new AFD forest, AD forest, and it says Azure Quick Start template. Okay, so let's come back over here, and that's what we did, deploy to Azure. It will automatically redirect, so we have done all that. So now edit parameters. So what they're saying, they have already defined a parameters file that we're gonna go get it from this location, AZ all files lab 10, and we're gonna load this file as the parameter source. Okay, so to do that, let's go to, let me make a note of that file, so again put it back here. So we are on step 4, so let's go back, and the way you get to the lab files, you go back to the main root. On the root it should be all files labs, under 10 I think what you have, and make sure labs 10 Azure deploy 30310 RGA. That file name doesn't match Azure deploy 303 RGA parameter station. Just to be sure, I'm gonna take a look at couple others. Look, hold on. So this, if I go to 9, it's not there. Active Directory new domain. Okay. I have Azure deployation, and I have the Azure deploy parameters. Okay. I think I'm gonna use this one. I think that, you know, that instructions that I have is not completely up to date, so I'm gonna use this one because this one makes more sense. Okay, you're gonna this DNS prefix. Now domain name my local, that's fine. Everything else looks fine to me. So let's just go over there. Let's go to edit parameters, and from the parameters file, what I'll do, we'll load the file as you deploy, and this we just downloaded right now. So this is the file I want, and let's save this one. But these names, I have never seen these names to be used. So let's do some more digging while we're here, just to be sure that we are on the right track. We don't want to mess up this. If we mess up this, then we cannot do the rest of the lab. All right, let's go back over here. Go back to our instructions labs. Go back to directory synchronization. I'm gonna take a look at this. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just search for this file and see my Google can help me find that file anywhere. Azure deploy 30310. I don't see that file, parameter file at all. Okay, let's do this. Come over here. Okay, I'm gonna not do this. It's a leave page. Let's go back over here. Let's reopen it. Okay, and try to redeploy and just see if you can, if the parameters make sense and you can just enter it yourself. Okay, switch directories, that's good. Let's switch the directories to default. Alright, so these are all the settings that we need. Okay, so resource group, let's put it, this is a lab 6, so you can just create a new resource, lab 6. Okay, and each TOS is fine. Admin username. Okay, most of the parameters are already filled in. So admin username, I'm just gonna use our most common username and password that we have been using. Okay, domain name is fully qualified domain name. So fully qualified domain name we have saved. We haven't tested the fully qualified domain name. We just know that that domain name is available. So let's do one more thing over here. Over here, this command that when we ran, fully qualified domain name, let's do .com and then do this. Okay, let's try this one as well, because they're asking for fully qualified domain name, not just. So if I run this over here, let's see if that is also available. It does says it's a bad request, that is invalid. So it must conform to the following expression. So they are probably only asking for that part only. Okay. The question is, we already have an Active Directory. Do I need to create one? Dns Prefix. The Dns Prefix is the public IP address used by the load balancer. Let me do some research. Give me 1 second, guys. Actually, I see that in the lab instructions, although they're saying that you edit and upload the parameters file, here they have given us some guideline to what we need to do. So let's follow this one just to keep it simple. Create new. So they're saying this is the resource group that we should be doing. So instead of doing this, create new, and instead of this, just use what is suggested in that lab. Then DNS hostname is still, they're saying just use this much of it, whatever is available. I don't know why it's fully qualified domain name though. So let's put this. It's got a green tick mark, so it must be working. Then DNS prefix. Okay, DNS prefix is, that says DNS prefix. Domain name, actually they have not suggested anything. DNS prefix is this. Let's go back. Okay, domain name is this. Domain name is, they're asking to use that one. Copy. So let's go back. So domain name, you're using this. That now makes sense. DNS prefix is this, so it will be like this dot adatom.com most likely, and standard DS2v3 is the SKU. Okay, that looks good, and that's all. Looks like you need to configure. On the create VM, with a new AD4 split, click the checkbox. So create VM with new AD4 split. So it's come down to the bottom. Click here that you're agreeing to the terms and conditions stated above, and just say purchase. So it's going to deploy this virtual machine, and since this is a custom ARM template, it's gonna install and configure a lot of stuff for you, and you don't have to worry about configuring and installing your Active Directory after installing the Windows server. So you can look at the progress from here, and it says deployment progress. As soon as the deployment is done, we'll come back and we'll start working with this resource. As a matter of fact, let it deploy and do its things, while let's continue to the next phase of our lab, because they're not going to contradict with each other. They have no dependency. So we can really go ahead and start also working on creating the Active Directory tenant, add a custom DNS name to the new tenant, and create an active Azure AD user with global administrator role. This is kind of what we have already done, some of it. The additional things that we are going to do is adding the custom DNS name, and I guess that we have also worked on the global administration role in some videos back. In last 5 or 6 videos I have done for this lab, we had similar things that we have covered in the lab. So again, so you're gonna go to the Active Directory blade. So let's go over here, and I already have the Active Directory blade available here. So you're gonna create another tenant. So for another lab, we have done this extensively. So we have now creating a second tenant, and in this one, organization name is going to be, so just stick to the Azure Active Directory basics configuration. This is your organization name, and initial domain name. You still need something, a unique consistent combination of letters and digits. Let's see if I can get this. Okay, so that is available, so let's use that one. And data center in the US is fine, in the US. Okay, so that all looks good. So we can create this instance. Okay, so that is going to create a new Active Directory tenant for us. So I'll just say create, and it's going to create another Active Directory, and this is going to be the initial domain name for this Active Directory, right? So copy that one as well, and I'm going to save it over here. Alright, so we have completed 2 things. If you look at it, both deployments are in progress now. So this one, where we are creating this virtual machine, where we're going to deploy the Active Directory domain services, and here is the Active Directory tenant that we just created. So let's come back over here. So now we have no choice but to wait. So we need to add the custom domain name, and to do that, we have to go through some of the stuff here. Now just remember, since we do not own the editum.com blade, we will not be able to complete the validation process. Okay, so that's the only thing. If you have your own DNS name, and if you want to do that validation step, you can use your own domain name to do that. But we'll pretty much do everything for the validation, but validation is not going to be successful, but you will still be able to perform all the steps that in a normal condition you will do. So let's see if our deployment is successful. One of them is, so this looks like the directory creation was successful. So we must have Active Directory, Azure Active Directory. Okay, so that's the Active Directory. So I have a new tenant, but I do not have the virtual machine. Is deployment is not done. But since this is done, I think we can move ahead and still click working on it. So this time what we need to do, we need to go to that tenant. So right now if you look at it, we are the default tenant. So if you click on this directory, we should have a new tenant. Click on all directories. It's still not refreshed, so let's just refresh the whole page. Alright, so when the whole page is refreshed, again you come back and click on this directory plus subscription blade and go to all directories. Now you have this add atom sync. This is the new one we just created, so let's just go in there and alright, so we are now in that newly created Active Directory domain. How do you know? It's also show up over here. It will say the new directory as add atom syncs. Okay, so let's come back to this lab. So in here under manage, we're gonna just say click custom domain name. So if you look at over here, you have couple overall groups. Like here you have the manage, then under here you have the monitoring section, and then you have the troubleshooting section. So what we need to do under manage, we gotta go to add custom domain name. So that's going to be right over here, custom domain name. So we'll click on this one, and in this one we're going to add a new custom domain name, and we're gonna say we want to add adatom.com. Okay, so let's copy this one. So this blade should show up in a minute. Okay, so here add custom domain name, adatom.com is what we want to add. So just say add domain. So now this is the portion where you are not gonna be able to verify because you do not have access to that custom domain name. So in real world, what you need to do, you can perform this this validation using a txt record that you can use with your domain name registrar, or you can do it with the mx record also with the register, and you can do the verification steps. Okay, so this is the only thing that you are not going to be able to perform. So let's come back over here. So that's all you need to do. And if you read this note right here, you will not be able to complete the validation process because you do not own that server. This will not prevent you from synchronizing from adatom.com. However, okay, the Active Directory domain with the Azure AD tenant, synchronization will still happen. You will use for this purpose the initial DNS name of the Azure AD tenant. So the name ending the other omnisoft.com, that is still going to work, which you identified in the previous task. However, keep this in mind, the DNS domain name of the ADDS domain and the DNS name of the Azure AD tenant will differ. That means the adatom users will need to use different names when signing to the ADDS domain and when signing to the Azure AD tenant. So although it's going to be synced, but how you are logging in to those domains, they will have to use different domain names. So that's the bad point about it. But you know, in a real world, you don't have to do this stuff. So now here, create an AD user with the global administrator role. So that's a pretty standard process, right? So we're already in here. So this we can do. So let's go back to the domain. Just go back to the user and just create a new user, which we have done probably 100 times by now. And we're gonna create this particular user, and we'll look at the show password and role. It's going to be well, global admin, sorry. Global administrator is the role that we're going to assign to this particular user. And let's see, no groups, and location is the United States. So let's come back over here. Location is United States. I don't think you need the job title or anything. Okay, so now record the full name and record the password. So now I have a Azure AD user with a global administrator role, and note this role is required to implement Azure AD Connect. So if you really want to integrate your Active Directory domain services from your on-prem, you gotta have one AD user with global administrator role, and that's very important note. All right, so let's come over here. Let's save our username and password. So let's go back one more time. So from here, let's get the password. Let's put it here. Let's get the full username. Just copy this, and you can paste it over here. So we got him, and just say create. So that is going to create your username. So let's click over here. So it looks like domain name added was fine, verification failed, and the successfully created user, it's not showing me anything for the VM deployment that we started. Maybe we have to go back to the other directory to see what's going on with the Active Directory domain service deployment. Okay, in here what they're saying, open in a private window, navigate to the portal and sign in using the new user account. So we can try that. So new private window, portal.azure.com, and let's get this person. Okay, so let's next, and here is my password. It's most likely gonna ask us to change the password because it's a default password. So put here, and the new password what we want to use is this and this. So now we should be able to log in as that user. Yes, no. Now he's logged in, he has access to our portal. Okay, so maybe later. So we have done up to this. So what they're saying, prompt to change the password, we have done that. Then sign out and close the browser window. So what we're doing after you complete this, so you have created Azure AD tenant, right? You added a custom domain name. We tried, but we failed. But yeah, we know how to do that. And the new AD tenant and the created Azure AD user with global administrator role. That is also right. So now they're saying we don't need this. So let's log out of this environment. Okay, sign out. So and then close this window. And next, we are going to synchronize the Active Directory forest with the Active Directory tenant that we have just created. So to do that, we have to go through 3 different steps. Prepare your Active Directory domain services for directory synchronization, and there's something called Azure AD Connect that we gotta install. And once these 2 are done, we have to verify the directory synchronization. So what I'm gonna do in this task, you will connect to the Azure VM running Active Directory domain services domain controller and create a directory synchronization account. So what we need to do, we need to go back to our tenant where we have created this virtual machine. So again, how do you go back? You come back over here, click on this, say all directories, and the default directory where I have access to the subscription. So there is where we have created, and let's look at it. It still says the deployment is in progress. So at this time I'm gonna stop for a little bit, and as soon as this is done, we'll restart the lab, and we'll use this virtual machine to configure the Active Directory domain services, install AD Connect, and we'll review the rest of the features. Alright everyone, it looks like the deployment is now successful. It took quite a bit of time to deploy this. So if you're working on this lab, give yourself plenty of time. I probably took at least 20 minutes to deploy this one. So again, don't stop, keep working on the other sections of the lab just to utilize your time. So once this is now done, so we can go to the resource group, and I should see our virtual machine. So this one should have my Active Directory domain services installed. So let's now go back to the lab. So it's asking us to go, and actually it's asking us to get the RDP file and log in to that machine. So I'm not going to use the RDP file. So the way, if you're using a Linux Windows machine, so you'll go to that virtual machine, so ADVM, and you are going to click on connect, and you click on the RDP file. So it's going to download a file for you. Okay, so you just download the file. Now since I'm using just a Linux box, I'm going to use one of my client, RDP client, to log into this machine. And there you go. And so I'm not that fancy. I try to use Linux as much as possible. So let's go here and go here. Domain you don't need, and say okay. So it should give me access to the virtual machine. So here is the virtual machine. Sometimes I have trouble with playing with this window, but for the most part I'm okay. I connecting to Windows machines from my Ubuntu. Okay, so let's go back to our lab and see what else. So we're gonna logging in. So this is what you are doing, and if you have any experience with the Windows Server, once you log in, your server manager is going to be loaded automatically for you. Okay, note the following steps are performed in the remote desktop session to the ADVM Azure VM. So here what you have to do, from the IE enhanced security configuration, you gotta turn it off. Okay, so that's the first thing that we're gonna do. And then from the server manager, we're gonna go to the Active Directory Administration Center. So let's go back over here. So my server manager is still loading, so I'm just gonna give it another minute to load it completely. And once it's loaded, we're gonna go to the enhanced security configuration for Internet Explorer, and we're gonna turn it off. Okay, so we're already here. Let's see, this is our, so we're gonna click on the local server, and this is where I sometimes have trouble. Let's see if I can move this. Let's go up, up, up. So this is what I need. IE enable, you see that? So this is where I'm having, oops. Okay, so I got to this one. So what do you need? IE enhanced security configuration. You need to click on this. It's going to give you another window. Oh, I may still have a problem because I need to click on that OK button. How do I do that? Let's see. It's not. If I click on both, I still cannot click on the OK button from here. Let's see if I can move this bar. Come on, bar. Let's go away, bar. Okay, now it's we can possibly do that. Let's see, but this time, yeah. So on, so if you're using a Windows client to connect to this machine, you probably are having an easier time than I am. So okay, so I have got that one. So now I have disabled the IE security configuration. I have said turn them off. Let's go back to this lab. So we have done that. Now from the tools, we're gonna go to the Active Directory Administrative Center. So let's go back to the virtual machine. Tools, so I don't need this window anymore. Here's my tools, Active Directory Administration Center. So this is where you want to go. So this is going to open up my Active Directory Administration Center for me. So what else do I need to do? In this one, click Add Item Local. In the tasks pane, click New, and in the cascading menu, click Organization Unit. So let's go over here. So this is where Add Item Local that we have created, and here task we're gonna do a new we're gonna create an organizational unit. It's not here. Why is not here? So let's go make sure new, click on organizational unit. Again, task, new, click organizational unit. So task, new. I don't have a organizational unit in here. Let's see, add item local is where we need to do. Sorry, so add item local, new, and organizational unit. So pay attention where you are. There are lots of features. It's very feature heavy, very robust software that you have from Microsoft. Lots of features, so it's easy to get lost. So once you're here, in the create window, in the name, type to sync and click OK. So that's all we need. Organizational we need to do in name. We're gonna do to sync. Okay, that's all we needed. Let me see if I have access to the OK button now. Where is my OK button? Yes, my OK button. So, and you say OK. So you have completed that task as well. Double click the newly created to sync organizational unit such that its content appears in the details pane. So now double click on that organizational unit. Where is my organizational unit? Okay, let's give me 1 second. I'll be back. Alright, so what we are working on, we just created our to sync the new organizational unit. Now we need to click on the unit to look at the details. Okay, so if you come over here under this, if you scroll down, there's the to sync. This is the organizational unit that's created, and if you double click on it, you see the details of it. I hope to sync. There's nothing there right now. So let's go back to the lab. To search the content appears in the details pane. So we have that in the task pane. Click new and click user. So now under this organization unit to sync, we're gonna create a new user. Okay, so that's the task that I have on hand. So let's see what is our requirement. Add user 1 is what we're gonna add the name of the user. There's automatically some other fields are automatically filled in, and we're gonna provide the password, and password never expire. Other password, where is my password never expire? Yeah, password never expires. So they're saying password never expires, just use that one. So do your password twice. Okay, so once you have that, we have now created one user within our new organizational unit. It's looking for some more stuff most likely. Let's see what else is needed. Okay, user UPN is also this, so let's put the UPN. Okay, now you have this OK button available, so you now just say yes. So that should create, so this is our organizational unit. That unit only contains one user, that is called the AD user. Now right now this Active Directory is not synced with the Active Directory that we have created within Azure. To do that, we have to do some more stuff. And one of the most important things that you need to do is need to install the Azure AD Connect. So within this machine, we have to go to the Azure portal and sign in using the sync admin user account that we have created in the previous step. Okay, so let's go over here. Let's see if I have access to internet, and then from here I'm gonna go to portal. If I can type portal.azure.com. So this is don't show this message. Continue the Azure portal website, and we need to log in as the sync user that we have created over here. So let's get the username. Okay, and then the password for this guy is our most secret password. So let's copy that one. So put come on, Control V paste. So sign in. So from within this window, I am signing in as that particular user. Okay, so we are making good progress. So we are here now. Search resources, services, and docs, and type Active Directory. So we're gonna go to the Azure Active Directory from here. So from this little difficult to move around with the little tiny window that I have. Let's see. Let me turn this one back down if I can. Yeah, so that gave me just a little bit more space, but not enough. Alright, so from here we're gonna go to the Active Directory. Just search for it. Went to the privileged identity management. So let's try. Maybe just to Azure AD. Azure AD. I don't have a lot of real estate in this particular RDP connection that I'm having. That doesn't work. You gotta go through the portal menu, and you can also go to all services. Either this is very slow or I'm not. Yeah, here Azure Active Directory. So hopefully you're using a Windows RDP session. You're having a better time than I do. So you are here, okay. So you're in the Active Directory. So what you need to do over here is look, if you have the AD Connect, it's not enabled, and sync has never run. Okay, so let's come over here. On this AD Connect blade, download the AD Connect, and you will be directed to the Microsoft Azure Active Directory Connect download page. So from here, let's go to the download Azure AD Connect blade. So there has to be a blade called Azure AD Connect. Let me log back in with another client with a better, little bit better real estate. Give me a second. Alright my friends, I have logged in with a little bit better RDP session from my Ubuntu, so hopefully we'll have a little bit better time doing this lab. I just need a little bit of better. Alright, so let's go to the Active Directory again. So here's the blade was not available, this my real estate was so low. So from here where we want to go to the Azure AD Connect. I'm still inside that particular VM, and from here we need to go to the download page, so not install. Okay, so you're gonna click on this download AD Connect link. It's gonna take you to another Microsoft link, and from here we is your AD Connect, and you just need to click on the install download button first. Microsoft Azure AD Active Directory Connect. You just download this one, and I'm just going to run it, and that should be installing my Azure AD Connect to this particular virtual machine. So let's go back, click download, click run to start that wizard. Okay, on the welcome to Azure AD Connect checkbox, I agree to the license terms and policy. On the express setting page, click the customize option. So let's go back to our RDP session. I'm just trying to see where it downloaded my stuff. Oh, it's over here. Okay. So here you're just gonna click the agree to the license terms. Let's continue. And here in the express setting, they're saying use a customized version of it. So once we do that, we can install console distortion location, SQL server, existing service endpoint, and specify a custom sync group. So what we're gonna do is install require we're gonna click on the customize option. So we're gonna say specify custom sync group, that custom installation location. That does not mix, I mean the match doesn't match completely. On the welcome to Azure Connect page, click I agree. On the express setting page, select Microsoft Azure Active Directory Connect user. Express setting page, so go to previous one, express. On the express setting, press click customize, so that's what we just did. Okay, install require components page, install require components page. So this is the page we are on. Leave all option configured options deselected and click install. So that's good. So we don't need any of that, so just say install. Okay, so that's going to install whatever is needed. None of these components are required for this lab purpose, so they're not going to be installed. And then on the user signing page, we're going to make sure that the password hash synchronization is enabled. So what it does, when you have a password hash synchronization, whatever password you have on the on-prem Active Directory will be automatically synced to the cloud. Okay, if you have a pass-through, then it is not gonna happen. So that's a different type of authentication. I don't know if this is covered in this lab or not, but for this lab we're gonna use the password hash synchronization. So if you change your password in your local Active Directory on-prem, that change will be reflected and your password will be synced to the cloud, to the Active AD tenant that we have just created. So let's see, let's go through the installation process. Looks like it's almost done, a little bit left. So here, give it one more second. Okay, looks like it's done now. So here, as you see, you have so many different options now for the user sign in. Password has passed through federation with Active Directory federation services, federation with Ping Federate, and you can also leave it off and say, yeah, do not configure. But this time you can click on this question marks to get a little bit more information. So this is gonna say, come on, stay there. It's not staying for me. So pretty much as I said, this is going to sync your password from on-prem to the cloud. Okay, this is what we're going to use in this lab, and hit next. So now what we need to do, connect to Azure AD page. So this is where you are trying to connect to Azure Active Directory, and you gotta have a global administrator credential. Again, this is very important to understand, that you gotta have a global administrator role assigned to a person to be able to do this step. So let's go back, get that person who got global administrator role assigned. Okay, so this one I'm gonna have. Alright, so we are trying to connect, so let's paste my username where I have the power as a global administrator, and let's get our super secret password, paste it in there, hit next. So this one should be connecting this particular Active Directory forest to our Active Directory. So everything showed up. It's Active Directory, and it's already checking that this is our forest, is already identified. So let's come back over here, and on the connect your directories page, click the add directory button to the right of the editor.com forest entry. So that's pretty simple. So we just click on the edit, and then it's asking, do we want to create a new AD account or use an existing AD account? So let's see what else needs to be done here. In here, ensure that the option to create new AD account is selected. Okay, on that account we're going to use the username as student. Okay, so what we are doing here, we are creating a new Active Directory account as this. And what is the password? This is the password. Okay, let's see if I was able to do it properly. And then say okay. So that has configured the directory. Back on the connect directories page, ensure the editor.com entry appears as a configured directory and it's coming up. So hit next. So now what's going on? It's retrieving, excuse me. To sign into Azure with the same credential as your on-prem directory, a matching Azure AD domain is required. The following table lists the UPN suffixes for your on-prem environment. So all of that is required. Okay. So users will not be able to sign until this enable the checkbox continue without matching. Why we cannot do that? Because we were not able to verify this domain name so far. So we'll still go through the lab and we'll just say, okay, I understand, but let's just go through this this setup. So if you ever see this problem when the users are trying to log in and they're getting UPN suffix does not match, that means you have to go and validate your domain name in Azure AD. So you will have to go through the domain validation process. Okay, just keep that in mind. That's also a very important thing to know. So next, as mentioned earlier, this is expected since you could not verify the domain name. So that's I already mentioned. On the domain OU filtering page, click on sync selected domains and OUs. So sync selected domains and OUs already selected. On the uniquely identifying your users page, accept the default settings, click next. So next. So uniquely identifying your users, this is my default, so I'm going to accept that. And then optional features page, accept filters and devices, again accept everything, hit next. Optional features, click all the default, click next, and this one also has the password, has synchronization. Excuse me. So now it's ready to configure. And on ready to configure, ensure the start the synchronization process when configuration complex checkbox is selected. Okay, so this is already selected. Now staging mode, make sure that it is not enabled. Review the configuration. Sorry. Start the synchron, then click install. So we're all good. Now we are installing the AD Connect. Review the information on the configuration complete page and click exit to close the Microsoft Active Directory Connect window. Okay, so we have done a lot of stuff in this lab. So while this is going, let's think about what we did. We have installed one virtual machine where we have created, installed the Active Directory domain services, where we created a organizational unit. In that organizational unit, we have configured one user. Then we created Active Directory new tenant. We created a new user, assigned that user a global administrator role. Then we went back into the virtual machine. We installed the Active Directory Connect or AD Connect, and then we have configured the AD Connect to have a password hash synchronization, and then we have provided the username to the AD to connect to the Active Directory, and we have provided the user that we have created who has the global administration privilege. Okay, now this is the end of our configuration, and this is installing our Microsoft Active Directory Connect. So let it just finish its job, and we'll be back just in a second as soon as it's done. Alright, it took probably a little less than 5 minutes to complete all of that stuff. At the end, what we have is, it says configuration is now complete. You can read through it. The configuration is complete. You can now log in to the Azure or Office 365 portal to verify that users' accounts from your local directory have been created. Then do a test sign on to the Azure portal. Active Directory recycle bin is not enabled for your forest. Okay, and strongly recommended that you do that. So we have already read that, so let's hit exit. So that kind of finishes off this portion. And finally, we're going to verify the directory synchronization. Now, how do you do that? Within the remote desktop session, go to the Internet Explorer, go to the Azure portal, users, all users bled. So if you now come over here, not here, go within this. I'm already logged into this, so let's just look at Active Directory. Let's see if it can give me the all users. Where are users? Okay, so if you go to the users, it should list all of the users for me. So let's look at if you have all the users. I just need a list of users, buddy. Okay. Go back in here. Alright, well, what I'll do, I'll just do it from here. That will also work. So this default directory, and in this one I'm also in default directory. So let's change the directory. Go back to, let's close this one. You're gonna go to the other directory, so click on here all directory, and the sync, this is the directory where we want to go. And what we want to do is go to our Active Directory. So Azure AD, I clicked a little too early. Come on. Alright, so we're here. So all we want to see is users. So here what you're seeing, we have add user that we have created. We have this particular user, that's my account, which was created at the very beginning. Sync admin is the one that we also created from the portal. But if you look at this person, on-prem directory sync, if you look at the source, this is the Windows Server 80. That means this user was not created using the portal. This is the user that we created when we did the installation of our Azure Active Directory, and we created our sync group. And this user is now synced back to our Active Directory within Azure. Okay, so on the users, note that a list of the objects includes the add user account with the Windows Server AD appearing to the source column. Add user account, Windows Server AD. So this is the other user. Okay, add user that we added, and this is also the Windows Server AD column that is also appearing. Okay, and this is the user that we created when we created the Azure Active Directory AD Connect. Okay, like if you don't remember, so right over here in this step. On the select the add user entry, on that profile job info, note the department attributes is not set. So come over here, click here, and the department attribute job info department is not set, so you can click on edit. Department is still not editable, so let's see what else they're asking. Within the remote desktop Active Directory, select the AD user entry in the list to sync, and then go to properties. So let's go back to our this environment, and what they're saying, come back and click on that user, and this is the Active Directory domain. Over here, if I update the domain with something, sales, so sales, he likes to sell stuff, so let's put sales and hit OK. So if I do that, and if our synchronization is on, this chain that we're making here should be reflected back to the Azure Active Directory as well, right? Within the remote desktop VM, start the Windows PowerShell from the administrator Windows PowerShell console. So there's something else that we need to run, so it's over here. Open PowerShell. Let's see, this is the PowerShell, and this is the command that we are going to run. Alright, let's see what it did. Import module, this column, this is already done. We have already ran the command. The next thing is we're gonna do this and run this particular command. Let's copy and let's start the synchronization. Start AD sync cycle policy type delta. So it says successful. Now we can go back to the Windows Explorer, go back to this profile and look at the department, and it better say that I have sales available this time. So come over here, go back to all users, click on add user, and my department is still not there. So refresh this. There we go. See, it's a magic. So what we just did, we have proven that our AD Connect is working just fine. Any changes we are making to this particular user account within our Active Directory on-prem, that change is being reflected in our Azure AD environment as well, just fine. Okay. It says you might need to wait and refresh the page again, and if the department attribute is not set, so just give it a couple minutes. So that's pretty much all end of this lab. So we have done a lot of things, and this is a highly testable area where people can ask you a lot of questions, like maybe what kind of user account you need to create your connections. What is the difference between your password hash connection, pass-through connection, and like all those different type of connections that you can make between Azure AD and your on-prem Active Directory forest services. Learn those differences and learn how to verify your domain using MX or TXT fields, but note that you have to do that from your domain service register. And how you sync your user accounts. So hopefully you have learned a little bit from this lab. Do this lab multiple times. That's what I'm gonna recommend if you are preparing for the exam. You should go through this process of cleaning up these resources, but for now I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna use this for some other purposes, but if you look at it, there will be a very detailed instruction about how to disable and delete all the resources that you have created, and that's about it. So give me a comment, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, leave a comment. If you're preparing for the exam, good luck. Thank you.